this computer.
Right, no pressure, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely.
This is me getting uncomfortable. I tell everybody to do it, so I have to do it. If not, I'm a hypocrite.
That's why I said absolutely as soon as you messaged me. I was like, if I sit on this, I'm not going to do anything. I was like,
I know. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. 20 minutes ago, I just dealt with an insured bitching at me for an increase, and then I'm like, man, I'm doing this. But if I don't set in the calendar, I would have 20 excuses just to go sit back there and do something else. So
I'm with you.
All right, so we're recording. So guys, whenever you're ready, let it rip.
Hey, it's real quick, Brian. It's PRS, right?
Yep, PRS.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, I'll start off. Johnny, ready? I guess we are.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. All right, Coffee with Gaz here with Bryan Jackson at PRS. Brian, appreciate you coming on, man. And we talked about it earlier, getting new at this, but getting a little uncomfortable. Talk insurance, which is my second favorite topic besides comedy. This is number 2.
Yeah.
But it's what we do. And I wanted to talk to you, by the way, and this is because this is going to be on social media. I think some of the coolest thing is that we actually connected via social media.
Yeah.
So
no, we definitely did.
And one of those things I always want to highlight because, and you do a great job, by the way.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
No.
I wish I could be as funny as you are. If you don't make it in insurance down the road, you have a career in comedy.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, that's my next. You're invited to my first comedy show. I need that support, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
No, but it's cool because I always before we kind of get into what I really want to talk about, which I think is interesting, social media done correctly with the right kind of mindset, it does work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm glad you and I connected. And I know we're going to do some stuff now and hopefully continue to kind of nurture that relationship and build it forward. But, for those who aren't doing it and have that big ego, I mean, if you do it with the right mindset and you put others first and try to connect via social media, it does work. So thank you for coming on. The name of which I'm contractually required by the media guys, I have to say it's Coffee with Gaz. So, I mean, now I know it's the afternoon. So what kind of, are you drinking coffee? Are you a coffee guy? I got to ask you that.
I've already had 4 cups today, so I've maxed out my limit, but definite coffee guy.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what else? I mean, if they take that away from me, I'm not sure how I'm going to function. So
exactly.
But is it a more espresso guy or, are you
just straight coffee?
Black,
we did Keurig at home, straight black coffee. Nice. We did those biodegradable K-cups,
that's the volume.
Just that Costa Rican straight black coffee, no cream. About 2 cups in the morning, and then around 1 o'clock I'll hit my 3rd cup, and then usually around 3 I'll get a 4th, but I kind of jumped the gun this afternoon on it.
You're preparing for this conversation. So.
Exactly.
Dude, so what's interesting to me, like, and we're in the same industry, but different sides of the business, right?
Yeah.
Being an agency owner, one of the, I don't want to use the word struggles, right? But my background is not insurance. Like, I'm a sales guy. I'm the first one to admit to everybody. I'm 38 years old. We're building a company with 2 of my best friends who are business partners, which is great. But, we're learning as we go. And then as I'm kind of developing and evolving our company, finding the right talent, it's always been, I want to use the word challenging in different ways, right? What are you seeing? And I'm curious, you being in the recruiting game, right? You're an insurance recruiter. What are you kind of seeing right now as far as like who's hiring? Are they hiring? Is it retail, the wholesale side? Like, what's kind of like your snapshot currently in the insurance talent pool?
Yeah, I mean, the overall snapshot is companies are definitely still hiring, whether you're a retail agency, a wholesale broker, MGA shop, or an admitted carrier or non-admitted carrier. There's positions out there. Companies are still looking to grow, albeit it may be a tad bit slower than what we saw in 2019. I mean, 2019 was phenomenal growth for a lot of companies on all sides of the insurance sector. But obviously COVID, came out of the blue. Nobody was expecting that here in 2020. March and April, just about every company out there stopped hiring for at least those 2 months just to kind of get their bearings straight, figure out what the heck was going on. Come May, early June, you started seeing companies pick back up again, kind of across the board. Everybody seemed to be getting a good feel for how they're going to onboard, what training is going to look like. Obviously, the interview process changed. Everybody was going to Zoom and video interviews or just having to rely more on phone interviews. So by June, companies were starting to get a better feel for that. And since then, positions have picked back up. Unemployment's gone up a little bit, at least within the insurance industry, and obviously as a whole from just the overall economy. I mean, back in March, we had 15% unemployment rate. But the insurance sector still did fairly well. We came into 2020 at 2.9% unemployment in the insurance industry. By March, that jumped up a little bit to about 3.9 or so. And now at the end of August, we're sitting right around 4.3, 4.4%, which is still half of what the overall unemployment in the economy is. Unemployment in the economy is sitting right around 8.4, 8.5%. So the insurance sector has done very well as far as weathering the storm of COVID, and companies are still hiring. So it's not a matter of our positions out there. The difficulty lies for you guys on the agency side or any other sector of the insurance industry. It's finding talent that's willing to make a move right now, that's willing to take the initiative or willing to take that chance to go somewhere new. Nobody right now wants to be a last in, first out situation. And we have a lot going on. I mean, we still have COVID, obviously. Next month, we've got the election. There's a lot riding on that from all sides. People are just skeptical. Just from that alone makes it difficult to find talent that's willing to make a move, because insurance talent is not out there actively applying to jobs. Everybody's lives are just a hectic mess with working remotely. If you're in a state where schools are back in session, or some are doing online school, some are doing, in school half the time, every other day, whatever that may be. People don't have time nor want to make the time right now to look for jobs. That's the last thing on their mind. So you guys,
it's the unknown too. I mean, the unknown is it's going to be, people are going to be more hesitant for sure. Looking at the potential opportunities, I look at the remote working kind of landscape changing. I mean, even for us down here, I tell everybody here, we have our meetings. It's not like, COVID specifically changed the way we do business, but I think it did accelerate the future. It kind of fast forward for 5 years. Yeah. Now the flex schedule, the remote working. I mean, us as a company, we've actually hired 4 employees during COVID.
Okay.
And it's interesting. I've never met him in person yet. I mean, we're open. We're actually having an official opening October 26th that we kind of worked through flex schedule. We've gone through the whole process. We've been very careful to take, just as far as hearing what our employees are saying, their concerns and addressing them. I mean, first and foremost, we want to make sure schools were all open, because once childcare is kind of taken care of, then we're kind of backing into it. But I'm curious to know, like, are you seeing that overall? Like, obviously more companies are going remotely, but has that changed the way kind of like your mindset of finding who's the right fit? Because I don't think not everyone's built to work remotely.
Yeah. I mean, from our perspective as recruiters, I mean, we connect with anybody and talk with everybody, but from the clients we work with and the companies I speak with, everybody still, I'd say a majority of the companies out there are still working remote because of COVID. About 50%, slightly higher, are saying that after COVID ends or we go back to the new normal, whatever that may be, there will be more work flexibility. There will be the ability to work from home a couple days a week. But I can't tell you, I've heard of too many companies coming out and saying, yep, we're going to move to a 100% remote work model. We're going to, do like Uber or some of those other tech companies out there that have told their employees, hey, we're working remote. You can work from wherever you want in the country. You've been in the insurance industry long enough. You get it. It's an older industry just all around in the way that they think and operate.
Reactive. They're just so reactive.
Yeah, it's very reactive.
No one's ever proactive about anything, right?
Yeah, it's very reactive in that way. And so that's just not a thing right now, where there's a lot of companies out there just saying, hey, we'll hire, we're willing to take somebody in a completely separate state to do this position. They're fewer and far between. They'd still like them to be within that vicinity, and still be able to maybe come in 1 or 2 days a week. So I think that's something that industry still needs to continue to look for. There's plenty of people I have spoken with that they love the remote work. They never want to go back to the office. And conversely, there's still those people out there that hate the remote work. They like the office camaraderie. I mean, it's a difficult balance. You have people on both sides of the aisle. But I do think for those that do love remote work and want to continue to have that flexibility, if their companies come back in 2021 and say, hey, come back to the office, we're not doing 100% remote, or hey, we're only going to give you one work from home day a week, those people are not going to take it. They're going to look elsewhere. The genie's out of the bottle now.
Right. So is that kind of one of the first questions you encounter now with a candidate? I mean, is the question just up front,
Yeah.
what's the
Absolutely.
remote flexible schedule? I mean, it went from being kind of a, I don't want to use the word of benefit, but now kind of a necessity as far as like this industry.
It absolutely has. That conversation has certainly come up in a lot of the conversations we have. Hey, what's it look like going forward? Are they working remotely now because of COVID, or are they back in the office? If they are working remotely now, are they going to continue to work remotely in 2021? And a lot of the conversations I'm having and telling people is, I don't know, because a lot of companies still don't know. They haven't set a full game plan on how they're going to structure that completely. And so, I'm not going to lead them astray and lie to them and just be like, yeah, sure, you get to work remote completely. You want to find people that are going to be a right fit at the end of the day and would be okay going back to an office if they had to.
Right. Well, Bryan, let me ask you, like in your position, what's kind of so you're kind of in the spot where you have the candidates that you're looking for is one side of it, and then the agency owners are the second. How do you kind of balance, how do you balance that as far as what's the right fit, right? The right fit for the actual candidate and agency owner, and you kind of, there's no perfect solution, but there's there's benefits to both, and how do you kind of manage that relationship, to find a perfect candidate?
Yeah, so I mean, it's an act of picking up the phone. I mean, just like you as a producer, I'm a salesperson at the end of the day. Recruiting is a sales game. You got to be able to pick up the phone. The agency partners that we work with and that I work with, I'm speaking to the producers, I'm speaking to the partners at the agencies, and I'm learning, what are you looking for? What is your ideal candidate? Not just, don't give me a job description. If you're ever working with a recruiter or search firm that just says, hey, flip me the job description, they're not working in your best interest. You want a partner that's going to get on the phone with you, spend 15, 20 minutes, have a set of 7, 8, 9 questions for you to get a good feel for what kind of account manager, what kind of producer, what kind of account executive, whatever your titles are at your agency. What are you looking for? What are some of the non-tangibles you want? And then in turn, I take that out to the market. I source candidates. I search, if it's an agency that wants people only in that vicinity and, they are saying, hey, we would like this person to come in a couple of days a week, and I target that area. I call those people and I get to know them. And, I'm up front from the beginning. Hey, here is the position. I always tell people the name of the company I'm working with. I don't believe in keeping it a secret. The name of the game in recruiting and sales is build the trust as quick as you can. So
trust and rapport. Sure.
I tell them everything I can about the position, about the agency, the growth, what the scope looks like, and sell that candidate, on the opportunity. If they come back and say no, they say no, and I still get to know them and keep an eye out for what they may look for in the marketplace down the road. But that's kind of how you balance it. You find out what your client wants, and then you go find some candidates that kind of fit that mold.
Thinking about in the position you're in, and I know everyone talks about, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I doubt any agency owner has ever said, hey, we have the best culture, right? We have the best work environment.
Never heard that.
Yeah, never heard that, right? Oh, why wouldn't you kind of work for me? I have the best. I am the best boss, right? I'm the best boss in the world. The self-awareness, I mean, it's one of those things people throw out there so much, but it doesn't exist. It's like common sense.
Yeah.
How do you, I would just empathize with you, because how do you put yourself in that spot where you're kind of getting both sides of information, but the sniff test is not there? Then you got a candidate, checks the box. You're kind of in a precarious situation sometimes.
As far as if the company's not interested in the candidate, or
no, I think both. I just think what your clients are asking for, this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
right? Because X, Y, and Z, but
Yeah.
you know it might not be a good fit. Like, how much do you put yourself out there knowing that you're kind of stretching between the candidate and because you got to make both people happy, and
Yeah.
it's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's where, like I said, honesty is the key. I'm brutally honest with people, about the position, brutally honest with the clients that I work with, hey, this is somebody that's totally locatable, or if it's a complete unicorn that doesn't exist and they're not going to find it, then
Call me.
tell
That's when you call me. That's
them.
when you text me. You find a unicorn, you text me.
That's not out there. That's not in the marketplace
Yeah.
to find that kind of candidate. Most companies have a realistic sense of what they're looking for. A lot of the ground things are just agency management system, certain premium sized
Right.
accounts that
Right.
the person's handled, maybe a certain couple lines of business or classes of business. But it's just being honest. If I get a candidate on the phone, I pitch them the job, pitch them the agency, really try and sell them on it. And if they come back and say, hey, I'm not looking right now, or this isn't the right fit for me, then so be it. I may give it a couple days and circle back, see if they change their mind. But I'm not in the game of putting a, square peg in a round hole, so to be. Like, there's plenty of candidates to go out there and call and try and find. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It does.
It's just being honest with people, saying on both sides of the aisle, and just trying to find. And that's the thing right now where I think companies have to be mentally aware of what the market looks like. 4.4% unemployment in the insurance industry right now, highest it's been in a couple of years probably, but there's still not a lot of talent out there. And so agencies or carriers or brokers who are expecting to get 8, 10, 12, 15 qualified candidates that have good experience and are looking to make a move, that's just not going to happen right now. So you may be lucky to get 5, which is a good number to interview, but you're just not having a plethora of people interested or applying directly to positions right now.
And then how many times when you find those candidates, just based on the data you just gave us too, like there is, because of the competitive field, I mean, if you're going to get the candidate, sometimes you got to get a little bit outside the box of your salary expectations too. Do you find yourselves, like a lot of us kind of are too set in what we want to pay somebody? Like we want to fill the seat, but not the person itself. Like,
yeah. So, and that's something I've been thinking about, and something I was going to bring up was, this is, a very pivotal point for a lot of companies to figure out what that new it factor is. Previously it most certainly could have been flexibility and work from home. But again, everybody's doing that now. And whether it continues in 2021 for people or not, still up in the air probably for some companies, but everybody's doing it now. And there's a large, number of conversations I have with candidates that I'll call and say, hey, here's the job, here's the agency, really sell them on it, pitch them. And they're already working from home. They're still making good pay. They understand the role that they're in. People stick to comfort. They stick to what they know at the end of the day.
Right.
And back last year, sure, work from home, more flexibility. That was a huge thing people were looking for. It's not a thing anymore.
Like, you would have been the unicorn last year. Working from home last year, you're the unicorn.
Yeah. That's not the thing this year. So if you're a company that's still saying, hey, we're, the greatest culture, or we're a phenomenal agency, carrier, or whatever, and, we're going to give you 3 work from home days or 100% remote work, it's probably not going to do it. And what that it factor is, I don't know. I mean,
well, I was going to ask you, like, just based on what you're seeing, what are some of those additional things employers are doing that's standing out? Like, anything that comes to your mind besides the flexibility? Is it more just transparency, communication? I mean, I think overall culture, I mean, some of the intangible stuff is what's sticking out more.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff certainly still sticks out. And I know everybody says, hey, we have a great culture. We're, family atmosphere.
Everybody.
All that. Yeah. Everybody says that, and that's great. And, a lot of times that's true. And then there's, people I speak with at companies that they hate the environment, and they're certainly looking to make a move. But as far as something new or spectacular, that new it factor that's really going to stand out for a company, I haven't heard or seen of anything like that. So, the bulk now at this point, to get somebody interested, I think still comes down to money. Money talks. Hopefully you have some other cool things that you can throw in there to really kind of help sell them on it. But
Right.
at the end of the day, people want to be paid what they're worth. I will say, I think agencies, from my understanding and my experience in the industry, at least from like an account manager, account executive perspective, things like that, the agency space has kind of continued to stay relatively within the same salary band for the 2, 5, 8, 10-year account manager, CSR, whatever your title may be for that person. Whereas the carrier side, underwriter, claims, product development, whatever you may be doing, that has continued to kind of progress and grow over the years and change. And there's just a lot more salary potential in the carrier side. So I think from an agency perspective, there may be some room, or some inward looking that agencies could look at, run the numbers and see, is there room to maybe change the salary band? By and large across the country, I'd say the average salary band for account managers is somewhere between 55 and 70,000. You may have a few outlier agencies out there that are paying 80 or 85. But most of my experience in speaking with account managers, AEs, CSRs that are making that, there's a reason they're getting paid that high of a salary. The work environment sucks.
Right.
They're overworked. They're working 10, 12-hour days. They have no assistant account managers. They have no additional support on the team. They're doing absolutely everything from A to Z on the book. And they just get no reprieve. And, there's no agencies out there that I've seen that are just kind of both paying real good salary and super great culture.
I think selfishly speaking, I think we're in that category.
Yeah.
It's interesting, about us. We've kind of, early on, completely transparent during this growth and evolution of Jack Insurance Group. It's we always used to just hire young people. It was kind of one of those things. We were younger. I'm 38. I know I'm losing, 38 years old, still looking young. If I shave, I look 25, by the way. So that's a side note. But, it was one of those things where we specifically went after young people, just thinking we were young, the energy. And then we realized early on, like, if this was your first job at insurance, there wasn't the grass seemed to be green on the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this is again, the best business in the world. Like I'm thankful, I made this decision 15 years ago. I would do it again every day, all day. But then not having that perspective of this being your first job, it wasn't the best fit. So going back to it, like we hired a couple employees out of risk management degrees, thinking let's go get young people out of school, which by the way, it's RMI guys, right? Is it RMI?
Yeah.
RMI?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know the lingo. I'm not an RMI major. Right? I did through experience, but it's funny. They and I'm going to go back to this point. Actually, no, I want to get into it because I just think that they feel like the RMI programs, they really gear everyone to the carrier side. It's not really geared to the agency side. It just seems like that's kind of like, and I get it, more corporate structure, initially kind of like this level of expectations. I don't know what they think, right? Expense accounts, flying around the world, they really like, glorious meetings. But it's funny, we went that route, kind of flipped, and now like our dynamic in our office is so different. We're finding account managers, account executives here, who've worked 20 years experience other places, and they're kind of being our biggest advocate because they're here now on the floor, letting everybody know like, hey, I've been through multiple agency principals or environments, and this is a great place to be at. So it's funny how even us, the evolution is like, we want the youngest people that are going to work 10 hours, have fun, play hard, work hard, where now we're going to the other side. And it's a pretty unique dynamic how like even our cultures, always the culture been the same, but our employee dynamic has kind of shifted too and changed at time.
Mm-hmm. And that happens over time. I mean, everybody's in a growth mode. Everybody's growing professionally, personally. I mean, your appetite for what you want in the office or who you want culturally, within the organization, that'll change over time. And it happens with a lot of companies. But the key is being self-aware of that, obviously, what you want, what you're looking for. And there's benefits out on both sides of it. You have the young guns coming out of the risk management program who are gonna, say yes sir always, and just be willing to put in those 10, 11-hour days because they're coming fresh out of college. They got a fire in them to just prove themselves. That's kind of what you get with that 21, 22, 23-year-old age group.
They don't
Most
have
aren't
kids.
married.
They don't have kids, so they're not tired
Yeah,
yet.
they don't have kids. Most aren't married yet.
By the way,
They're
if you
okay
don't have
staying in the
kids,
office.
if you don't have kids, you can't say you're tired. I don't.
Yeah.
That is like, you want to fight. I'm not aggressive, but I will get into it for anybody who says they're tired if they don't have kids. So sorry about that. I had to say that.
No, I get it. So yeah, I mean, they don't have all those things, so they're a little more energetic and able to work, till 6, 7 o'clock. Whereas, like you said, on the other side of it, if you guys are bringing in these 15, 20, 30-year veterans, then, they may not have as much energy or, willingness to stay till 7 or 8 o'clock to work, but they've got 20 years of experience behind
They're
them.
more efficient. They value the work-life balance aspect of it. It's
Well,
funny
they can bring ideas to you as far as
correct.
efficiency protocol, workflow procedure, standard operating procedure, what have they done at, if they've had a 20-year career in the agency space, they've probably worked at 2, maybe 3 other agencies within that time span. They can bring ideas to the table of, hey, here's what I did, X agency, and this is, it worked better there, in my opinion. I want to bring the idea to you.
No, and I can tell you, I have no ego as far as that goes. Like I love to surround myself around people who tell me the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And more, I'm always curious too to learn about what went wrong. Like I kind of take that a lot more value. Like don't tell me, not necessarily tell me what to do, but tell me what went wrong, because that's kind of like, it's more impactful for me. Kind of like, all right, this is why it happened, and learn from it. But I mean, here it's an open door policy. People say it, but it's an open door policy, man, 100%.
And that's what you want. And also that's one thing. Like I said, everybody says culture is great. Every agency says they have the best culture. People still care about culture. People still care about having an open, going to work for an employer that has an open door policy and is willing to, treat their employee as an adult. There's still a lot of agencies out there and companies out there that still get micromanaged. Yeah. And I'd say probably even more so now just because of remote work. There's a lot of stories out there about companies putting tracking software or whatever, on their employees' laptops and making sure that they're making phone calls or whatever that may be, to make sure that they're doing the work. But, if you can have that open door policy and you can be willing to say, hey, you're 20-year veteran, you're a 10-year veteran, I hired you because you're knowledgeable, you understand the industry, you know how to run a book, you know how to build a book, whatever, run with it. People are going to respect you way more for that. And if you can say that on a recruitment call or an interview, or if you can, have a recruiter call a candidate and be able to honestly and confidently say, hey, if you go work for this agency, like they give you full throttle ability to do things that you need. First week you're going to be getting the book of business and they're just going to tell you to run with it. Look for gaps and coverages, look for areas to cross sell, round out, anything you can do to help bring in and generate revenue. That's what a lot of people look for still.
I mean, we've done it too. And I've been a big, so does my 2 partners as well. We've been very big into, I know the old guard, and again, I've been doing this for 15 years, not forever, but I remember when I first started, the mentality was kind of different. It's like, hey, you're supposed to be thankful for the job, do your job, and this is what you do, and smile about it, right? I mean, we're kind of into the mentality where we want to treat our employees come first. Mm-hmm. The happier the employees, the better they're going to treat our customers, right? And that's kind of been like our real big focus. We listen to them. Even an example of, look, again, this whole pivoting during COVID, I'm pretty open about it. There's no perfect plan. Like, I tell everybody, I try to Google how to deal with a pandemic. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. We had an initial thought, hey, we were going to open the office back up, part-time. Early October, we listened to our staff. We sent emails out, had concerns, had an open dialogue. We pushed it back a month, right? Because, the concern is we want to do what's best for our employees, best for the company, and have an open conversation and kind of have something in that works best for both. But but I agree, man, treating your employees come first, and then they're going to treat your clients better, what's going to make you look better as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, one of the things I see too, and maybe just because I'm a little bit detached on the agency side, aside from the RMI majors, I'm having a tough time where I don't see a lot of younger people not focused in that degree kind of joining the insurance business. I mean, are you ever finding diamonds in the rough? Like, has that ever happened to you? Like people that are just looking for a career change, or you're super hyper focused in a different level?
For us, we're super hyper focused in what we do. I mean, if a company is reaching out to us, we're a business, we charge a fee, to our clients. And if they're reaching out to us to find a candidate, it's usually very specific. I need a 3 to 5 year account manager that's versed in applied Epic and knows how to handle accounts up to 100,000 in premium. Or I need an underwriter that is experienced in cyber tech, and has some good retail agency connections. Like, that's what the companies we work with are asking us to find. Very rarely can we take, an accounting major that was doing something else in a completely different industry and bring them into the insurance space. I've had some good general luck with taking the RMI majors and placing them at some wholesale broker MGA shops and some retail agencies and those entry-level positions to kind of learn the ins and outs of the industry, learn how to process certificates of insurance and do auto IDs and all those things. But very rarely, if ever, have I taken somebody from a completely different industry and been able to take them to a company or a client and say, hey, here's somebody that I think would be good.
You'd be stepping outside your comfort zone there big time, right? Yeah.
And it's, I'm sure you get it. The piece there is companies aren't necessarily going to pay us a fee for that. Like, because you probably get applications when you put up your account manager or CSR stuff on LinkedIn or on your website, and you probably get dozens of resumes from just anybody in other industries. So you have a plethora of resumes to kind of pull from. And that's the way most companies kind of look at it is, well, if I wanted John Doe, who is an accountant at XYZ accountancy firm, I could go call them myself, or I have that resume.
It could be a dime a dozen.
Yeah, it's going to be a dime a dozen. And so they're coming to us with very specified parameters of here's what I'm looking for. And I think that's where a lot of people maybe misconstrue how recruitment works and why recruiters can sometimes get such a bad rap. As it is in any industry, there's always bad recruiters out there. There's people who don't respond or don't help out. But
there's bad insurance agents.
There's bad agents. There's bad underwriting. There's always some of your bad apples out there. But trust me, I'd love to be able to help everybody I ever spoke with or everybody that ever sent me a resume and find a place. But we're very niche. We're very focused in the insurance industry. I don't recruit in any other industry. I'll send them a couple website links and say, hey, here's some other avenues that you can look down, but I can't help you. And I think if more people understood that and realized, okay, this recruiter focuses in this industry, there may be less confusion as to how that works and how much help that recruiter may be able to give them. And a lot of it just comes down to communication.
I can say we've like us specifically, and when we first spoke, I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you, but we've had a few. Probably our biggest success story was bringing in somebody who didn't have insurance experience, and kind of now she leads our commercial marketing team. Like she is, she's a superstar. And it's kind of like our motto. And again, we're all evolving, right? As we've grown from 10, now we're at 42 employees, in house. Like we just continue to evolve. I guess I have this kind of passion of developing people. Like I do this as a career, and there's so many people I meet, like anywhere, that have jobs, and just that transition from, hey, you have a job, insurance could be a career. And like you're more aware of this just because of different avenues you may have. I mean, it may not be the best fit for me at my agency, but if you get in this, like look at us now. You mentioned unemployment numbers. You're almost going to be recession proof.
Yeah.
So it's in our office, we do have kind of two models where we're always looking for, hyper focused, top tier account executives for the complex accounts. But I'm always still mining for someone who wants to kind of get a taste. I almost get more satisfaction from that. It's almost, I guess I wish someone did that to me when I first started and I was a receptionist, like going through, back then it was monster.com. It wasn't,
Indeed.
it wasn't
LinkedIn
Indeed,
jobs.
LinkedIn Jobs or Career. I think it was Career Builder, but I remember Monster, it's like, I think it was brutal. It was brutal.
Yeah.
That was fun back then. But it just, like, that kind of mentorship is something that I'm pretty passionate about. And the fact that it worked and it worked really well.
Yeah.
Now it's like, almost like, okay, I love her story's great. She's a little shy, so she doesn't want to get on some of the content we do at the office.
Yeah.
But one day I'm on there, but it's something I definitely am passionate about.
Yeah, and I think that's something that companies should certainly continue to do. And me saying that that's not something I could help somebody with is not to say
Right.
there aren't other companies out there. There are other agencies, other wholesalers, other carriers that certainly take people with. You see it a lot in the claim side, especially. You'll see people with like criminal justice degrees and did public law enforcement or worked at a detention center. They get into claims, personal lines, BI, or commercial property or something, because being that law enforcement officer, they have that natural inclination to investigate, which is what claims is. You're investigating. Is there liability? Is there coverage? Is this claimant lying to me? Is there some fraud here or whatever? So, there's a lot of avenues that somebody can transition into in the insurance industry. And I think as a whole, we need to do better at it. You've seen the statistics, you've seen the insurance journal articles and things. A large portion of the insurance industry and the professionals within it will be retiring in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And so there's going to be a huge talent gap. And if companies aren't continuing to pursue all avenues, people from other industries, as well as those that are 5, 10, 15-year veterans in the industry, there's going to be a way short supply of underwriters, claims, producers, product developers, account managers. And so it definitely needs to be out there, and companies need to continue to do that. And I think they do a decent job to it, but I think it could be done more, just kind of continuing to be more and more open to people coming from a different industry into the insurance sector. Because like you said, it's a phenomenal career. Most people you talk to say they fell into it and then they loved it and they've realized.
And then 15 years later, you're kind of stuck. You don't get in insurance and then you leave. You're kind of just, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, but you get kind of like, you get trapped into the web,
Yeah. No, you do. And, anybody you talk to that's 15 years plus, that got into it in 02, 03, 04, you talk to them now, they saw it in 08, 09 with the recession. Sure, obviously, there were probably some layoffs within the industry, but by and large, probably still fared pretty well from an unemployment perspective. And so those people saw, hey, my job was pretty much guaranteed for the most part. I was able to hang on, or if they lost it, they may have been able to find another one relatively quickly, within a 1 to 3 month time span. And now they're seeing it again here in 2020, with any layoffs that have occurred. But again, we're only at 4.4%, which is up from the beginning of this year, but half of what it is for the total economy. So Bryan, you can almost guarantee a job.
Well, I mean, it's job security. That's the big part about pushing the career mode, right? This is a career. Let me ask you, what would be, if you had one piece of advice for anybody in the insurance industry, just currently employed or looking for a job, or they're thinking about looking, what's kind of like your one nugget, or what's the one piece of advice, or whether, because a lot of times I assume people are either, they might not feel they're in a good situation, but what's kind of that balance, or one piece of advice where, hey, go look around, or go call these people, or maybe you should start looking. Any red flags or any piece of advice you'd like to kind of throw out there?
It's crazy still nowadays. I mean, the biggest piece of advice that you can give, a lot still comes down to the resume. I mean, it's phenomenal how where we are in this society and just how advanced we are since 2000, all the technology things that have come and whatnot. People still struggle with writing resumes, and I get it. It's a difficult thing to do. But the one piece of advice I could probably give somebody is don't make the resume a spitting image of the job description. Hiring authorities want numbers. They want real value. They want to know, how are you going to fit into this role? What makes you qualified individual for this position. It's not processed, certificates of insurance. It's not issued auto IDs. It's not pooled MVR records or any of that. That's all stuff that's on a job description. It's, if you want to stand out and guarantee yourself at least a conversation to get in the door, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, getting that opportunity to get in the door and get past the HR person or the manager that you're going to be speaking with and get them to pick up the phone. It's, hey, I, help grow my producer's book of business from, 250,000 in revenue to 450,000 in revenue by cross-selling accounts. I worked on accounts that were 50,000 to 150,000 in premium. It's providing those types of information, that type of information on your resume to really give them a good feel for, all right, what has this person done in their role? Are they more small market business, middle market business, large market? I think that's a huge thing, because every agency, every company has a different definition of small, middle, and large.
Correct. Yeah.
So you may apply for an account manager job and you're sitting there like, wow, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm a perfect fit. But it, may be saying that it's working on a large book of business. And to you, large may be accounts up to 50,000. But to them, large may be 500,000 in premium and up.
Right.
Probably not going to be, an exact perfect fit if the agency really wants somebody who can handle those complex, larger accounts and do everything that is involved. Same thing in underwriting, help, grew my book of business from, $1 million in new business to 2.5 million last year. Worked with retail agents and wholesale brokers, et cetera, et cetera. It's going outside of just what's on the job description and really painting a clear picture for how you would fit best into that position. If you're just going through the job description and transferring that and calling that your resume, 80% of the time, you're probably not going to get a call back.
And Bryan, where are you finding your candidates specifically? Is it LinkedIn your biggest kind of tool?
Yeah, LinkedIn's the biggest tool for any recruiter out there. And, same thing, it's the biggest tool for HR as well. That's how you find candidates. Most people are on LinkedIn nowadays, but it's not only calling the people you find on LinkedIn or sending them emails or any of that, but it's, again, on my side of the industry, it's all about relationship building. There are plenty of people I speak with on a daily, weekly basis that very rarely am I going to have the right fit for them the first time that we speak, but it's getting to know them and what they're looking for 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, so I can come back to them when I do have that perfect position. So it's, one, getting to know them for future roles, and then two, after you build that trust, it's flipping the script. Who do you know? Like you do as a producer, I'm sure after you make some sales or get a new client, hey, who else do you know that, I could help provide insurance coverage? I'm taking that saying, who else do you know that could fall in line with this position that I'm working on? Who has the skill set that you know that may be interested in hearing about it? And so doing that, kind of hopefully leads you to some people that may not be on LinkedIn and may not be as easily found. Those are sometimes your diamond in the rough, because they're just not as readily accessible as somebody that's on LinkedIn.
Right. No, and it's just curious to know, like, I'm excited about obviously just insurance in general in the future, and talking to you, partnering with you, definitely I appreciate you doing this, coming on. We're going to get your contact info on here as well. So anybody has any questions, concerns, just insurance in general, I think you're a great resource to kind of, obviously not only just a resource of what else is out there, but kind of walk you through too. Is the grass greener, or someone looking for some consulting as far as like a fresh set of eyes? I know I look forward to working with you now that the geographical footprint has changed. I'm open more than ever to find people that work remotely. It's a change, but it's, if you can't trust someone to work from home, why would you hire them anyway, right? So
exactly, and that's going to be a huge game changer for people as time progresses. The more they're able. I've got probably 2-3 agencies that are willing to do that right now that I work with, where they'll hire people in other parts of the country. Now they have some other nuances, if they're going to work remote, they'd like them to know the agency management system, just help with training and things like that, so it's not as cumbersome. But there's several agencies, and it's helped them. It's helped expand the talent pool. It's helped bring in other talent. And you know, with where they're at, they're in New York. It's a high cost of living up there, you know, to pay standard of living for
Right.
somebody
Right.
in New York City. You
Right.
know, they can find equally qualified talent here in Atlanta and upstate New York and Texas and Miami and Tampa, wherever, for, you know, 20-30% less than what it costs somebody to live in New York. So if companies and agencies are willing to do that, they're going to have a lot more talent to pull from.
It's the future. It's the
Yeah.
future. By the way, Bryan Jackson, that's an insurance name right there. Right?
Yeah.
And I bet you're a good golfer too. Don't tell me. Are you a good
No.
golfer? No.
I wish.
All right. I was going to
I
say
wish.
that if you were, then we couldn't be friends because I'm not that.
No.
I mean,
I go out to drink and socialize, and if I break 90, 95, if I break 95, I'm having
a good day. That's a good day.
Usually it's 100, 110 though.
I'm more of the spray and pray kind of deal. I'll get there. Just it's not straight. I kind of make my own way to the hole.
Yeah.
But dude, Bryan, I appreciate you doing this. Thanks for I'm glad we were able to connect via social media, and now we have kind of continued to build this relationship. Anything I can do to help you, obviously I will. And I'm excited for our future.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Lewis. I really appreciate having me on this Coffee with Gaz, and phenomenal experience, like you said, kind of pushing the boundary here, doing uncomfortable things.
Hey, uncomfortable. Hey, it is what it is. We get better at it, but right, I can't be a hypocrite. I got to keep doing it. So
exactly. I look forward to it. Hopefully, more conversations in the future.
All right, let's go viral on LinkedIn after this. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thanks, Bryan. I appreciate it, man. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks. You too, Lewis.
Thank you. Thanks. Johnny, you got that?